New Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list for the TCG. Now, why should we care about this as a Master Duel player? I think for two reasons. Number one, I believe Konami Japan has to approve all of the TCG ban lists before they implement them. And number two, if something works out in the TCG, I believe that Konami Japan is more than willing to copy it and then implement it into Master Duel. Let's see what the tier list is before hopping into this. Let's open up both of these. Boom. In the past 1 month, Dracotail, Vanquish Soul, Mitsurugi are the top 3 decks. We have Mitsurugi Yummy, Malice, Yummy, and Lunalight right afterward. We expand this to the last 3 months since the other ban list was back in October. And it's pretty much the same thing. Dracotail, Mitsurugi Yummy, and Malice being the top 3 instead. Basically, the top 5, top 6 pretty much shifted around a little bit recently. Could also do tier 3 events only, which it pretty much is unchanged. With that context in mind, let's see what the ban list is looking like. Bam! February 2nd is when this ban list is happening. And let's see what we're looking at. We're going to be slowly going down. Changes newly unlimited. These ban lists are usually nice and large. What is this? Black Dragon Collapse Serpent from 2 to 3. I know that Rocket has recently received a ton of new support, and there is a massive Dragon Link community to the point where I believe Konami was fearful that those players would not build or play or buy any new card as long as their deck was relevant. So they had to hit their deck into the ground. And now with all of the new Rocket Dragon Link support coming out, this now being unlimited with it, maybe it's going to be back in business. New top tier deck as they finally have new cards for the Dragon Link players to buy into. I guess the other one would also be unlimited possibly. Let's see. Dark Refer from 1 to 3. I remember using this back in my day in some Infernity. Summon this by discarding a level 5 or higher dark, then send a dark monster from your deck to the graveyard by discarding a dark. Super dark deck, Dark Arm Dragon deck even. Okay, but you know, it's really outdated. It's no longer that good. If you're not a 1-card combo in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, then you got to get out of here, right? Well, I mean, this is a 1.5 card combo. This could be doing some crazy stuff in the right deck. Actually, I'm interested to see who's playing Dark Refer recently. Sky Striker Orchid, hey, Infernity, just as I was saying. All right, back to the ban list. What else? Vanquish Soul Raisin from 1 to 3. Wow, it is still limited to 1 in OCG and unhit onto one of the newer deck types. Now, a lot of people were asking if I think Vanquish Soul will get pre-hit in Master Duel, which we may find out by this freaking week even, as we should be having a Master Duel ban list for potentially a Vanquish Soul release in the February New Year anniversary. While I'm confident K9 is definitely coming with the New Year anniversary because it makes the most sense, I'm not so sure on Vanquish Soul. I think it's very likely, just not as likely as K9. So we will see if that's the case with Raisin for us. And interesting that even with Vanquish Soul being a top tier deck and recently being hit, already getting unhit. That's insane. What else we have? White, there we go, the other one. This is what I meant by the other one. Wyver Burster and Collapse Serpent, they are the pair, they're the brothers. They're unlimited everywhere else. I think it was quite weird that they were even restricted in the TCG. All right, sure. Well, Dragon Link it up. The Chaos Ruler, I believe, is still banned across all 3 formats. I'd have to double check on that later. I don't want to spoil myself on anything. Let's keep on going. Zodiac Trident, doing absolutely nothing in all 3 formats. Is that correct? I think this was recently unbanned. And did any of the Mad Lads pick it up? No, just pure Zodiac. No one's even teching this into their other decks really as much. Let's see. Okay, OCG stats. Yeah, it's... Oh, we got some Mitsurugi and the OCG are enjoying it for, you know, you make a rank 4 season, you can go into this, sure. What else we got on this ban list? Our Change of Heart. Ooh, you know, mini board breaker, take control of a monster, sure, but... I mean, Triple Tactics talent is way better, way more versatile. You could use Triple Tactics talents on turn 1. Change of Heart is garbage on turn 1, obviously. All right, let's see. Crystron Inclusion, more unhits for past top tier decks. Crystron should possibly be on the tier list again for Master Duel for when K9 comes out. That's going to be really good. They have a new combo starter with the K9 cards for Crystron. So if you are upset that your Crystron cards very quickly fell out of the meta after investing in the deck, be ready for them to come back soon, at least in Master Duel. Snatch Steal from 1 to 3. It looks like they're just catching up to every other format, because if it were restricted anywhere else, as we could see on the Raisin here, it would showcase it on the card. So everything being unlimited besides the Raisin is already unlimited everywhere else. They must be thinking, hey, it's okay everywhere else, why not here? Snatch Steal, in a way, is searchable in multiple different ways. The new Makonko could search it. You already have ISOL. I think ISOL's actually banned in the TCG. Just multiple ways. What's very cool about this card, though, is if there's a monster that's unaffected from activated card effects, which would be Chaos Angel or the X-Purely Nor, you could use Snatch Steal onto it to take control of what's supposed to be an unstoppable towers. It's now yours. What else we got? What else? Stake Your Soul. Ooh, Raisin, Stake Your Soul. Both of them. Vanquish Soul being fully unhit. What is going on here? Wow. I guess I think a lot of people were upset about this. I did comment on how soon after the deck became top tier that they already hit the deck, and how bad that is for anyone that invests in the deck. And the TCG, it's not like Master Duel, we get to have multiple different decks to play and have fun with every week, or I should say daily. You have to pick one deck. It could be upwards of $1,000, and most people on average are playing just once a week with that deck. So you spend 1K and your whole deck tanks in value from a random ban list. And all right, maybe they regretted that. That's really interesting that they're unbanning it. What about the other decks, though? Dracotail and Yummy. You know, that's the big three. Vanquish Soul, Yummy, and Dracotail. All right. Let's see. What else? Newly semi-limited. All right. Now, Stake Your Soul is potentially something that they could pre-hit in Master Duel, which, again, we'd find out this week. Not on the pack announcement, but our actual ban list announcement is when they would let us know if they actually pre-hit the deck like that. Newly semi. Oh, boy. Droll and Lock Bird copying Master Duel. Let's go. What's interesting about Droll is if you try to finger the Droll, you could chain another Droll. So with this being reduced down to 2, it does increase your chance of proper counterplay to the Droll and Lock Bird. Cross out Designate being the same situation against Droll and Lock Bird, and that is super salty. When you have the out for Droll, and then they get to chain another one, and then obviously the impact of this just even being opened up in your opening hand, it shuts down turns completely. Now, some metas, this card's no good, but in the metas where this is good, it's very difficult to say, oh, just play around it or play a different deck, because you do get shoehorned into a certain deck due to how good it is. And it's not your fault that your deck gets shut down. It just makes the format just much more random and bad. I think that the best thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is interacting with your opponent. I don't know if that's a hot take. I just want to interact with my opponent. And any card like this that turns off the interaction is bad. No good. I do not want to see cards like this. What else we got? And, to emphasize, even if a card like this is dependent on the specific meta to even be good in, it doesn't, even if this would be a future problem, this is just not a good idea. And I do think because of Droll, that's why we've seen a wave of a lot of new modern cards setting cards in the deck instead of searching them, which is quite interesting. Ooh, that's it for semi-limits. All right, okay. So I don't know if anyone was coping on maybe Fool Loss getting semi-limited, right? We got Maxi semi-limited in Master Duel, got Droll semi-limited. You tell me what your thoughts are on a card like Fool Loss. Are TCG players complaining about it? I guess it could still get limited to 1 or banned. It's not too soon after it's been out, right? All right. Newly limited. Dracotail Mulu. Wow. I mean, it is limited to 1 in the OCGs, sure. Very interesting. What's crazy about this is, obviously the benefit of if used as a fusion material, it gets a set a card from the deck and non-target negate a monster in the field permanently. That's great. But if you just focus on if it's being normal summoned, the normal summon spot in the deck is quite heavy. There's a lot of cards that want to be normal summoned. You got Lucius, Malulu. People want to play Cartesia. Cartesia's great. So I don't think this is that crazy of a hit, especially if you're not maxing out on Cartesia. You just obviously put the Cartesias in and you're great. So this may be more along the lines of how sacky it is that you could randomly have this in your hand, and now you randomly have a non-target permanent negate. And when you are the turn player against this will, because they're the non-turn player with Mulu, they're going to be the higher chain link to your trigger effect. If you were to, let's say, activate Branded Fusion, they chain an effect to fuse at Mulu. Whatever you summon with Branded Fusion will be on chain link 1. Mulu now non-target freaking negates you. And for that to randomly happen, it feels quite sacky, I think. It's much more balanced to have the Pan or Urgula randomly being in their hand, popping your back row. Also, those cards are inherently bricks. So a lot of people don't want to max out copies, even though we're seeing in Master Duel that a card like Urgula is being maxed out by many people that want to win the mirror match. But then they do get punished. They have to make that deck choice. This is an auto-include at 3. There really isn't any downside besides it taking up a normal summon among the other cards you'd want to summon instead, like a Cartesia. Now, I do think normal summoning this over a Lucius is better against a card like Impermanence. If I'm playing Dracotail, I have a Lucius and a Mulu. It's very difficult to want to summon Lucius instead of Mulu because you could possibly get blown out by that single Imperm or Veiler. All right. And then, this would be activatable again during the next turn. That's why it plays through the Imperm or Veiler, if you didn't know that. Let's see. Jokel. K9. Limited to 1 in both OCG and TCG. There are good discussions and predictions that K9 will get pre-hit on release for Master Duel. Fenrir came to us semi-limited. While I think a card like Azuna could get semi-limited on release for Master Duel, I don't want it to. Am I crazy for saying that? Maybe this card would get pre-hit instead. That also seems kind of weird. I believe this is getting pre-hit because of Vanquish Soul. I think that's the main reason why. Let's see the decks that are prevalently using this. Because if you want to randomly tech K9 into any deck, which Azuna is highly techable, this is not a card that's auto-included when teching in any deck. It's only when you go much more deeper into the K9 engine that this is a bigger deal. So this is being able to special summon a level 5 or higher from your hand and also being able to add from your deck. I mean, that is combo start and search your deck. What else we got? Vanquish Soul, 100% at 3. Crystron, 100% at 3, and now it's limited to 1. The pure K9 deck, 100% at 3. And then beyond these 3 decks, it's not seen as much in other decks. I think it's a Vanquish Soul hit, which is interesting because they hit Raise, they unhit Raise, and they unhit Stake Your Soul. And the trade-off was now this card's limited to 1 instead. Okay, now with Raisin and Stake Your Soul being unlimited, that's adding 4 extra cards to your deck, and this is losing 2 cards in your deck. So you -2 to add 4 cards to your deck. Let's keep on seeing what's going on. Okay. What? Wait, they shifted the hits around. Stake Your Soul and Raisin got unlimited. So 2 cards that were limited to 1 got unlimited. Then 2 other cards that were played at 3 are now limited to 1. Your deck doesn't really have to change around much. You lost 4 cards, you gained 4 cards, exactly as is. This is a turn 0 card, which I'm not sure how contentious something like this is in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I believe that turn 1 should be shared by both players. So that would mean a card like this is giving the non-turn player turn 1, turn 0 plays. Before their turn even starts, they're making big plays beyond their Imperm, Ash, Foolash, Droll, whatever other nonsense they have. But I think one of the most uncool things about Yu-Gi-Oh! And most unfun things about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going second is not very fun. And when you are going second, you have these little Droll, little Ash, little Ghost Girls with their feet out. I don't like that. I think it would be much cooler if we shared turn 1 and I'm summoning dragons. I'm summoning Holly Sues. It's the core part of your deck. I think the K9 engine is pretty cool. Summoning big furries on the field, let's freaking go. Now, so if this is good game design, why is this limited? I think it is limited because it's a turn 0 play for just 1 deck. Only 1 deck gets this. If you remember Tier Limit, they had Herald of Orange Light with Havnis and Kashtira Tier Limit. They had crazy turn 0 plays. The issue is that they're the only ones at that point of having those turn 0 plays. So I think an engine like K9 is a nice broad brush to help give decks that don't have turn 0 plays that added boost in turn 2 viability so they could actually make plays turn 1 and not AFK, watch anime, and actually still be engaged in the duel. So I guess that's the only issue here. Maybe they have to be restricting these at the moment, but in the future when they could just more broadly give better and cooler turn 2 cards or turn 0 plays, then I think that'd be a good step in the right direction for Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, the coolest hand trap's Nibiru, hands down. I would like to see more stuff like that. We did see Synchros received an exclusive hand trap, a Synchro-only deck where they get to, I believe it's tribute a monster in the field or return the monster back or banish it, something crazy. I think Konami has taken note of what I'm saying, not because I'm saying it myself, but they see it themselves that, hey, turn 2 is kind of not cool. All right, let's see. Yummy. Oh my Jesus, 3-1. No. What are the ratios in TCG? So they went from 3 to 1. Sulfacord Yummy, oops, down to 1 from 3. Mitsurugi Yummy, they're already playing it at 2, so 2 to 1. We have Pure Yummy, they were majority playing it at 2, so 3 to 2. All right, Yummy Mimico now has to drop it to 1. Part of your turn 1 play, generally in most of your combos, you're summoning more than one Yummy Snatchy. And this does now create more counterplay for the non-Yummy player where, what is this? It's a light. What do light and dark monsters do in the graveyard? They get banished by Bystials. So where otherwise a Bystial would not be as good against this deck, it now becomes much better. It's going to be a nice cat and mouse chase of, can you actually banish my Snatchy? So what will happen is the opponent activates something, the Synchro is going to jump off the field, try to reborn the Snatchy. They're going to chain a Bystial. Of course, you have to have a monster on the field for them to even do that. Then you're going to have to chain Yummy Surprise to protect your Snatchy, because otherwise it's banished for the game. If Yummy Snatchy gets banished, there's no way to recycle it inherently in the core way the deck is being played, right? I'm not forgetting something. It's banished, it's gone for good. They have a way to recycle a banished field spell, but not a banished Snatchy. And if it's its only copy, boom, done, it's over. So interesting new counter for the deck. Bystials, I guess, now become better to play. All right, let's go back. All right. And I do, because I like focusing on interaction. And when you create a new choke point or new counter for a deck, that's not a Floodgate-like effect, but I think that's a good thing for the game. I think now putting a heavier emphasis on stop their Snatchy, banish the Snatchy, and prevent the opponent from banishing it, I think that's a cool little aspect they now added to this. And of course, I would want the deck to still be good and not be crippled and not be a good deck anymore because of this hit. That's when this would be a bad change. All right, what do we got? Habakiri from 3 to 1. This is what everyone is begging about in Master Duel. Now, before you celebrate too early, I found out on the last stream. I was quite surprised. I was like, what is going on with Mitsurugi in the OCG? Why is it up here? It's the #1 deck. Did something change? I don't think something changed. Something changed. So this should show only the OCG changes, and we should not get spoiled on anything from the TCG. Let's pop this open, and we'll see that they're playing a new card. Look at that. End of the World Ruler. Who cares what it does in the field? You're not even summoning it. It's not even a reptile. So why are you using this? Well, it's another Habakiri, essentially. You could reveal this card in your hand, pay 2,000, banish a ritual spell from your deck. So we are banishing Mitsurugi Ritual. And then you apply the Mitsurugi Ritual's effect by copying it from the freaking deck. Now, so with the Habakiri now going down to 1, but then you +3 this. I don't know when this is coming out in TCG, but maybe that's what they're doing here. They're preparing for this to come out, and they're seeing that this is, at the moment, the most dominant deck in the OCG because of this one new card now being played at 3. So there you go with that. And then on top of that, when are we getting this in Master Duel, right? I guess if Habakiri were to ever get limited 1 in Master Duel, maybe that'd be a big tell that this is then coming to support the deck. And it really makes me think, was a card like this a mistake? Did Konami do this on purpose? They wanted, this is just general good ritual support across the board. It's not restricted on, it's not even something like copy a ritual spell that includes the effect to ritual summon a fiend monster. That's what I think would be easy to implement in this card if they didn't want this teched into random stuff like Mitsurugi. Let's see, who else is playing this? Mitsurugi, Voiceless Voice, Nouvelles are loving this. Just ritual decks are rejoicing. All right, yeah. Now, let's keep on going. Let's go. I mean, what was the tier list for Mitsurugi overall, though? What did Mitsurugi need to get hit? No Mitsurugi, pure Mitsurugi. So Mitsurugi Yummy and Mitsurugi. If you combine 2 of these decks, it's a total of 22 decks, which would be closely you could say it's almost tied for first or just top 2. So Mitsurugi is definitely relevant enough to, I guess, want to hit the Habakiri. And Vanquish Soul, we got the Mulu hit so far. What else are we going towards that would be hit on the tier list? Pure Yummy also gets hit by that Snatchy alongside the Mitsurugi Yummy. Oh boy. So it looks like Mitsurugi Yummy is the most hit at the moment. Vanquish Soul just kind of shifted around their hits. What we got? A Case for K9. Oh my, Case for K9. This card is at 2 to 3 in Vanquish Soul, 1 to 3, mostly at 3 in Crystron. When it's teched in multiple different decks, though, it is some people, I guess, at 1. All right. So this card just very simply adds consistency to the deck, and we're reducing the consistency of K9 across the board with Jokel, and that's when you're going harder into playing this in your deck. If you're just teching in K9 into your deck just for the hand trap portion, it's pretty much just 3 Azuna and 1 Lupus with no Jokel, no Case for K9. So just for those focusing on K9, is this a hit for? All right. Key 2. We're not done hitting Dracotail. Key 2/1. Now, they put Key 2 as an ultra rare in Master Duel. And to me, that means that they don't plan on hitting this card. I do believe, obviously, Konami gives cards, creates cards that they know it's probably on their whiteboard that we're going to create this card and it will be on a future ban list. We're not being caught by surprise. We're going to allow it to be unlimited for a little bit to maximize sales. And then this was designed with the purpose of being limited to 1. Well, I think it's really bad that a card like this is not limited to 1 is the counterplay aspect, which again, I've been focusing on interacting with your opponent. Why is a card like this and the Rahu not interactive or anti-interactive? Well, when you negate the activation of a Rahu or a Kitu, all of the Dracotail cards have a way to set a new copy from the deck and then activate it again if the activation's negated. So that is a big anti-counterplay aspect that I don't like with this. And now with this limited to 1, it's completely okay to use, let's say, your Wave King Caesar to negate this. If you were not playing Wave King Caesar before because of that now becomes a better counter. You would now not want to Wave King Caesar negate Rahu unless they also limit that card to 1. And you'd want to save your Wave King Caesar for, let's say, a card like Femina or Malulu. And now Kitu does become a good option to negate. All right. Yeah. So it's same thing with Snatchy. We have better counterplay. All right. Ooh, that's it for limited 1. Limited 1. What are we missing? So I don't know if there's any Fua Lost Cope. So no Fua Lost Semi, no Fua, limited to 1. Again, I'm not sure how many people are actually complaining about that. So boy, what could get forbidden? All right. Let's go. Nice and slow. Barrier Statue of the Torrent. Oh boy, Mermail players, ain't no way. Mermail 100%. Come on, you are so toxic. I don't think this is 100% in Master Duel, right? You got to be freaking out of your mind. Wait, it is. Okay, even in Master Duel, you were toxic. I didn't know they shifted towards playing this 100%. When Mermail was more relevant, closer to its release, this was not in every single deck, but wow. Maybe this is something we could expect in Master Duel. If all these fools are being toxic with this card, special summoning it from the freaking deck, damn. Okay, well, rip Floodgate, good. Again, anything that's anti-interactive, I am all for them hitting. And the thing is, though, it's a double-edged sword. While the game, you could say, gets worse when you make it less interactive, but in a way, the less interactive, the more floodgates you have in the game, the more welcoming the game becomes to what I would call Timmies, right? I think Magic the Gathering calls them Timmies, and the top-tier players or the Sweats are called Spikes. So Timmies have a chance to beat top-tier players when they have cards like Max C, when they have Barrier Statue to auto-win. But then overall, it just makes the game worse. Konami, you got to think of better ways for the Timmies to have a good time besides just floodgating people out. Also, it's not going to be good for them making friends in the TCG. Who's going to want to shake your hand and befriend you after you summon this? Let's see. What? Binder? What? Is it Splash Mage and Link Decoder already banned in the TCG? Ransom is not banned there, right? Ransom is banned in Master Duel and in OCG, but Binder? Oh, that is so much more of a bigger hit. That is insane. Now they can't even banish cards from the opponent's graveyard. They lose that. They lose a power ceiling for their turn one, being able to set a trap from the grave, a trap from the deck, and they lose the draw one, no draw one, and it's a draw two because you're generally triggering this on your turn and your opponent's turn. So no banishing, no draw two. This is insane. There has to be no other hit beyond this because I do want to talk more about this. What does this mean for a Malice turn one play? They already don't have Splash. They don't have Decoder. And now no Binder. They also lost Apollo USA. That was hit because of Malice. This is crazy. Now, I was one of the few sitting on top of the rooftop letting you all know that Malice would still be good after Ransom being banned in Master Duel. And I got a lot of flack for that. A lot of Reddit comments saying DK doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't even play the game, despite making a combo guide and I believe gameplay for Malice, and then also showcasing what the combo would look like, even with the Ransom hit. And that's pretty much exactly what people are now doing. And people are then realizing, wait a second, Malice is still very good, but is this truly is this the nail in the coffin? I have to have a broader view of the deck type, which I will. Maybe this is the last ban, and then we'll talk about it right now. Let's see. There's more. Herald of Arc Light to 0. What the heck? Yummy is getting clapped up left and right. What the heck is going on? Now, DK, be consistent, right? Okay, I'll be consistent. This is a Floodgate. Yeah. And it's three things. It's a Floodgate. It's a spell trap monster negate. It also helps bridge your way into rituals. It does so much. Now, what's sad about this is this part, the third part. So this is a lot of collateral damage, and I do think you want to minimize collateral damage with Banlist. It's very easy to look at a top tier deck and go, all right, we're just going to ban this card, and then in a vacuum, that could be a good idea. But more broadly, when you look at the rest of the game, what if you have little Timmy every single week playing their Nouvelle voiceless deck, and now they don't have Herald of Arc Light? They're already rogue tier, I will say trash deck, just became worse. Why is that okay? You couldn't think of a different way. If this was just to hit Yummy, then you should have, I would say, hit Yummy more instead. But again, the biggest thing about this, it being a Floodgate, is nasty. This super Floodgate Dracotail, and with Mulu now being limited to 1, that further restricts their options of even being able to counter this card. Now, they don't have Sprite Elf in TCG, so they can much more easily just summon an Arthalion and bounce it back. Then that initial fusion summon, nothing will be triggering, and that is that. But damn, I mean, let's see the hits here. So rip if you are playing your Dogmatica deck, Ogdoa Dick, my Virtual World, Altergeist, Buster Blader, my Gem Knights, Voiceless Voice, some Synchron Mad Lads playing it. What about OCG? We have, again, more Dogmatica, my Ryugi, Voiceless Voice Nouvelle, that one dude, no. More Voiceless, Monarchs, I guess someone was randomly playing it there. And this is, I'm not trying to make fun of them. I do feel for them. That's why I'm against a hit like this, but I'm also for it because only because it has the Floodgate aspect. That is the only thing why. And it's a difficult topic of Yu-Gi-Oh! That I'm sure it goes back and forth. Should they just have more aggressive erratas? Should they just be changing the text? Should they just say, all right, Herald of Arc Light no longer has the first effect? And because the physical card game, I'm completely against erratas. I think it's not a good idea. I'm someone who has been through the 20 different erratas in Necro Valley, and Jimmy at the table has the 9th version, Johnny has the 12th version, and it's so convoluted. They made a big push to errata, a ton of cards like Sangan, Witch of the Black Forest, Crush Card Virus, BLS, and I think that was a big mistake. It ruined the original identity of those cards for, I would say, fun formats that want to use them. And now, of course, you could just use the original version, but still, I'd rather they just make new versions of cards. If the Timmies need this effect, instead of errating the Herald of Arc Light, just make a new one for them. That is, I think, the winning solution for everyone, right? Make a more balanced Herald of Arc Light, and hopefully that's the case for what would be coming upon the horizon. Now, TCG themselves, They don't design and create cards. So if this is banned in TCG, it's up to OCG to create that Arclight replacement where the card already exists. And if it already exists in OCG and they have no plan of banning it, then they're never going to make that replacement. So now in the TCG, you're just screwed. Your little Timmy deck of using the Dogmatica, send this from the extra deck, and then you search for your fun stuff. It really is a shame for them. But, oh well. Let's see. What more? More Harpie Featherstorm. This was a card. Yes, this is a card that you would be thrusting to your back row if, let's say, they droll you, they fool-loss you, and you want to smack your opponent back. You want to say, you know what, you deserve to get floodgated. This is a super floodgate. It's a crazy, insane, restrictive one. This, if an errata system existed, this would probably have to change to something along the lines of only negate monsters on the field, but straight up, negate any monster effects your opponent activates no matter where they are. And the intent is it's a heavy restriction. You have to have a Wind Wing Beast. That's so hard to have on the field, except it's not, because any Wind Wing Beast in the extra deck, Xyz, Link, whatever way to have a Wind Wing Beast now in any deck turns on this card through Thrust. And if you're super toxic, you're making the Allenbert with 4 monsters to just straight up search this card. That's what Onomat Ryzeal would be doing. So I'm all for this. I'm someone who has abused this a lot in TCG simulators. I've been thrusting this. I make the guy with the gun. He's the Wind Wing Beast in Ryzeal. But every time I've been using this morally correct, though. Only when they floodgate me with the Droll do I then hit them with the Harpie Featherstorm. All right? Now, let's see. Good change. Good floodgate. Anti-floodgate, anti-floodgate. You know, we were talked about the issue of it being used in other decks. 3 floodgate hits. That's crazy. And then a core card of Malice. All right. Is there more? There's no way there's more, right? Let's see. Okay, full changes. We could talk about Malice. All right, great. This is the full changes. Oh, boy. As always, these are quite meaty. And let's see this real quick. Harpie, Featherstorm, Flaunderies. These are decks that are main decking it. So you see here 7 pages of people main decking. If we do side deck, boom. Once it goes to side deck, it is 22 pages of people at least side decking the Harpie Featherstorm. Crazy powerful card. Disgustingly good when it pops off. Completely deletes the opponent's turn. There's pretty much no counterplay whatsoever outside of, let's say, a red reboot, I'd say. Now, we're talking about Malice. Now, something that's quite interesting about Malice is a deck like Malice is so powerful that a side deck is required to balance it. And with this being a top 5 deck, what did the side deck meta look like? Let's see. Boom. Meows. And where's Lancia? Lancia did drop quite a bit. Lancia all the way down here. Lancia and Meows being very good cards to help counter against Malice to make it more balanced. Retaliating Sea, a card being used against Dracotail. So I guess a good question is, if Mulu and Kitu are limited to 1, do we now take Retaliating Sea out of our side deck? Is it no longer needed to counter them? And I think it is ideal to ensure that a deck is not pushing people to side deck silver bullets against them, but the deck is still good. And it's a very fine line to balance. It's very difficult to ensure that to be the case. And even with Retaliating Sea being in the side deck of many, Dracotail is dominating, as you could see. Also dominating in freaking Master Duel as we're waiting for Vanquish Soul to come out. And with Dracotail dominating, maybe Vanquish Soul should not even get pre-hit at all. Now, I do have a lot of cope and hope in Konami that they balanced Dracotail and Vanquish Soul and Yummy at the same time in the R&D lab. They had the whiteboard. They gived and taked from each other, making sure that they'd be perfectly balanced, because I believe it was the intent for all 3 to exist at the same time and essentially be a season, you know, like seasonal gameplay of other games, and the season of Dracotail, Vanquish Soul, Yummy, which a lot of people love this season, if that's what you want to call it. You call it a format in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, again, for Malice, what is going on here now? They lose their freaking white binder. Holy moly, what the heck is their turn 1 combo now? If we were to open up a Dormouse, you door, banish a white rabbit come out, and then do we want to set MTP right away? Because we're not going to be able to set traps with the white binder. Now, White Binder was able to banish the White Rabbit during the opponent's turn to then set up an MTP. And if we don't have that, we are now more reliant on, it would be the March Hare. We now need March Hare much more than ever, because sometimes you could end your turn without a March Hare and you'd be fine, but now you really need it. That's core to this. Even on top of the March Hare, hopefully having a Bestial if they have a monster on their field to then banish your White Rabbit. So I think this does also create some interesting counterplay where if they hard focus on the White Rabbit, now, if they get rid of the White Rabbit, you could still, because this is semi-limited, you could have another copy in your deck. And then if you have the March Hare to banish the Red Ransom will still banish the other White Rabbit from the deck. So I think that's good. If Binder's going to be banned, then White Rabbit should not be limited to one like it is in Macedol. That'd be way too detrimental. Too hard focus on that single White Rabbit. But wow, I think the deck is still consistently, if they want to, I think now it's going to be a bigger choice. Do they want Cryptor on the field? Do they want Allied Code Talker, Ignister? The consistency of being able to have both in circulation, having a Cryptor in the grave and this on the field, that may now be gone. That's going to be a bit too much. As you door, banish White Rabbit, I guess you would set the GWC. You could then make Lizard Dose, banish Dormouse, then go into Red Ransom. Maybe you want Red Ransom to hard search a Mouse and Mirror. Or you could still Mouse and Underground. I guess Mouse and Underground would still be good. You banish the Mouse and Mirror. Mirror will then search for a March Hare. With the Ransom being banished to GWC, you will banish a Chessie Cat from the deck. Chessie could then banish the March Hare added with the Mirror. So you still got the draw 2 play. And then you are set up with the March Hare adding itself back after drawing to a Chessie Cat. March Hare is now ready to banish White Rabbit. And you'll have like White Rabbits, the Chessie Cat on field, Red Ransom back on the field to, I guess, go into an Allied Code Talker Ignister with, or I guess make a Cryptor instead. We don't even have the Link Decoder to make it more efficient. Looks like some people are coping on Link Disciple, which is quite interesting. This is truly a big hit. They lose the draw 2, the random banish, the power ceiling of turn 1 this also provides. You could then say, the deck now has, I guess a common theme is they're creating bigger choke points. Now, if you Ash the Red Ransom, that's quite big. They can't now shift their play into a White Binder. Their hand trap resilience way goes down on this. Ash the Red Ransom trying to search for the field spell, they may just end their turn right there. Even if they're able to further link, they can't go into a freaking White Binder. Hopefully they would try to go into a Cryptor if they have enough bodies. But that may not even be the case because Cryptor requires 3 bodies, where Binder and Ransom only require 2 bodies. So a Link 2 plus one other, because you may want to follow up with, let's say, a Little Knight afterward, then Little Knight plus another body would try to make the Binder, but now that's freaking gone. This is really a crazy hit. I could not believe that they went for this, but look at this context. What does it say? Released in 2024. How long is a deck allowed to be a top 4, top 3, top 2, top 5 deck? Forever? It's time to get out of here. I mean, where's Ryzeal on the tier list? Like, Ryzeal looks like it fell off, right? Boy, did Ryzeal fall off. So why is Ryzeal allowed to fall off down to here, and then Malice can be up here? That's not fair for Ryzeal players when both these decks came out at the same time. They were top tier. What? Because they're waifus. They deserve to be top tier forever. Come on now. I think Malice is similar to Snake Eye with how powerful Snake Eye was until Snake Eye finally fell off with, I guess, they banned Original Sinful. Now, let's see the commentary on the ban list here. First, I'll look at the TCG players. Ritual decks can eat rocks, I guess. Well, remember, maybe you don't know, as I did showcase the End of the World dude, the new Ritual, he's coming soon. I don't know how soon, but he will be the Habakiri replacement and also be benefiting multiple different decks. So even with the topic of Herald of Arc Light no longer existing for the Timmy decks, they do gain that extra Ritual enabler, which could further be why Konami TCG was thinking this is okay to do. You're going to have 3 of a new card that can activate any Ritual from your deck with no restriction. That is insane. And then that's not even talking about, do you have any cards that could search that End of World dude? You're going to play, what, Small World to search them, and then you can further activate any Ritual from the deck? I don't even know if there is a good way to add them to the hand. Nice to see Droll moving down. Outside, let's say, like summoning a Manju to search him, obviously. Mizar, I will go bury White Binder next to Red Ransom. I bet Konami will copy this list and put it in Macedol and hit Binder again. They would have to unban Ransom. There's no way that they ban Binder with Ransom. That would be insane. And hit binder again, hitting Malice for Konami. This is routine like eating breakfast. I am used to it, and I regret every second I spent building a deck because of Konami, and thank you for playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, man, really? What about the Ryzeal players? Come on, man. Malice has been good for so long. It's essentially the Dragon Link problem. You're never going to buy new product. You're never going to move on. You want to play the same deck for 2 years straight, and you want to be top tier on top of that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Can't sustain if that's what everyone's doing, just hanging on to the older decks for 2 years plus, and then also dominating all the new ones. Imagine buying a top tier. What do you expect will happen? Okay, I don't know if they're... You see, we got Ryzeal versus Malice Wars here. It's pretty funny. Okay, sure. What's the point of putting Mitsurugi in Legendary Modern Decks product in March if you're going to hit them? Well, you know, the new Ritual Dude, maybe. Weird to be so pumped about most of my playable decks being crippled. Now, this could legitimately be someone that's upset that the Herald of Arclight is hit, and that is a real issue in Yu-Gi-Oh! You're playing a rogue fun deck, and you get hit because of a top-tier deck. I think a big card example is it's disgusting that Gold Sark is limited to 1. It's not fair for all the non-Malice decks that now, like Dragon Ruler is not a good deck. Why can't they have 3 Gold Sarcophagus? Well, because of Malice. That's not good game design. This is why, in a way, I wish that there wasn't a Genesis format. I wish the Genesis format was just the core format, just real Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe not as convoluted. I'm not sure now that much time has passed how people are viewing the point system if it's confusing, but maybe a shared limit pool situation similar to Duel Links where Gold Sark is, instead of being limited to 1, limited to 3. And then you have very good Malice cards also limited to 3. And then between 3 cards being limited to 3, you can only play 1 of each copy. And then you could have a deck like Dragon Ruler, which they should be able to play 3 of Gold Sark. That seems like the best way to do it. This, in a way, is such an outdated banlist system. Since Yu-Gi-Oh! Has grown, what has grown? More playable decks. And with more playable decks, you have the banlist further hitting unfairly all of these fun and playable decks. I'm willing to say that even with this bad banlist system hitting playable decks that are not top tier, they're just rogue status, that still Yu-Gi-Oh! Has the most variety out of any other card game of playable decks. You could almost say there's essentially 100 plus playable decks. It would look good enough to probably get Master in Master Duel, but for Magic the Gathering or Pokemon, is that the case over there? I would think it isn't, especially Magic having a rotation format. There's no way they're rotating 100 plus playable decks. You tell me. So I do think Yu-Gi-Oh! Needs to further lean in on the fact that, hey, come to a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament and play whatever you want. It will be viable. And when you have top-tier decks hitting cards like this, it further reduces that good aspect of Yu-Gi-Oh!, I'd say. Now, let's quickly see Master Duel meta. More of the Master Duel player takes on this. Die, Malice, die. Okay. A little bit different. We have a TCG player upset their Malice deck is hit. The Master Duel player is celebrating, even though this is just in the TCG. Based AF, holy. TCG hitting white binder instead of red just to be different. It's a big different. Oh boy, it is way more of a hit than Ransom. It is crazy. Hitting K9 and releasing Vanquish Soul and Crystron is the way. Sue 2-1 is good enough. Now, Sue may get preemptively semi-limited for the release of Master Duel. That may be the case. And it's going to be quite salty for a lot of players because Dracotail's completely unfreaking touched. They didn't get any hit whatsoever. So if Vanquish Soul were to come out the hit, that would be quite nasty. In fact, they get to benefit from the fact that Brain of Fusion is playable at 2. This is a deck that would almost get a card like Brain of Fusion limited to 1, even though they just newly semi-limited it. Now, I would not be for that. I don't think that should be the case. And by the way, if you are a European and you couldn't see these images, I'm sorry, I fixed it. Brad found out that Europeans can't see Imgur. I didn't know Imgur was blocked in Europe, so something like that is now fixed. Also, we have big changes coming to Master Duel meta, a big engine overhaul where we're going to have the Yummy engine combine their power levels, and it will, in a nice way, showcase all the Yummy decks under it, also combining the Ryzeal and Mitsurugi power level. I think a lot of you are going to like it. We're working on how it looks. Our developer is top tier, working back and forth and getting everything to look good. So we may have that update by even today or later in this week. That'll be a great thing. So I'll see you on my next stream, twitch.tv/Decade this Sunday. We are only 3 streams away from the New Year anniversary, which should be K9, hopefully also Vanquish Soul. So good stuff coming forward. We're going to have the $1,000 tournament. Looking forward to all of that. Thank you for supporting my videos and watching all that good stuff. We are out.